All right. Hey, everyone. How is everyone doing this fine Wednesday evening? It is the Sports and Drafts show with Dave. Chuck, he's Dave. I'm Chuck. And it's what we took a sabbatical last week. Like I think I posted, real life responsibilities kept us from being here. And, work calls when work calls. So that's an unfortunate thing. We should just all be able to quit our jobs and broadcast sports shows all day. That would be a fun job.
Yeah,
You know, you had an interesting weekend. You were traveling this week, right? Vegas.
I did. Yeah, I went to Vegas last weekend. Did really good. I found out that, and you'll see later from Chuck and I's new score for our picks. I found out that I do much better picking the spread on NBA games. I won several NBA bets while I was in Las Vegas. I think I maybe even came home ahead after making a total of probably close to at least a dozen bets over the weekend.
Wow.
um, whether it be college football, NBA, even bet on a little bit of English Premier League soccer, NFL, of course. So didn't do too bad. It was nice because when I got there, I already had a ticket. That ticket I showed in, I think, our first episode for the 49ers week one win over Tampa Bay that I had made this summer. So I
Mm-hmm.
went and cashed that in and made some more bets and did pretty well, actually. Didn't do too bad, and it was a good trip. So got
That's
to see a
awesome.
lot of cool stuff. Yeah, just
What
mainly it was a light weekend. I was just watching games. I mean, didn't see sights. Just basically was at sports books the almost the whole entire time.
Wow, that's a good weekend right there. So
Mm.
what you drinking right there?
So I brought back from Las Vegas. There's a new brewery, Abel Baker Brewery, and I brought this home. I got myself a. Actually, I didn't get myself. My buddy I went with, Rusty, got me this hat from there, so I could wear it on the show, and it was really cool. So obviously they have a duck theme, which we don't mind, but
Oh.
you get your web-footed board here. That was my taster flight that I had, and it comes on a nice web-footed tasting board. They give you a rubber ducky to keep and take home when you buy a flight. And so it was really nice. We were helped by a great beer tender named Aspen. She was very nice and knowledgeable about all of their beers. And I would recommend going there if you're in Las Vegas. It's one of their new breweries. It's located on South Main Street, just before West Utah Avenue. It's like you're going towards the Art District, in between kind of the end of the strip and Fremont. So it's in between there. It's kind of like as you're on your way towards Fremont Street. It's right there before the Art District and just after the Gateway District. So I would check it out. All the beers I had were really good. The one that I brought home in this 32-ounce crowler here is called Of Balloons and Unicorns. It's a hazy IPA. It's 7.2%, and it's pretty
Oh,
delicious. Out of all of the ones that I tried, this was the one I wanted to bring home and have on the show. So, uh, cheers to Abel Baker Brewing Company. And I even let them know that they'd be featured on the show. And so maybe we will get some new Las Vegas supporters.
that would be awesome. We'll have to send me their information, or maybe I guess I could look them up, and I'll tag them in a post in the show. So this week, I really there's a little liquor store, it's not too far away from me that has a great selection of craft beer. They just have a whole bunch of stuff that you're just not going to find everywhere. This one I was actually surprised I found. This is actually you wouldn't think by the company. It's just a Sierra Nevada, but it's a Narwhal Imperial Stout, and and I went up and the guy. What's best about this liquor store? My son and I were both talking about it. Is that the people there are so nice. It's like you're their friend. They see you. They see me maybe once a month or every month and a half. When I'm looking for something different, and it's just like we're best friends, and they're very nice there. But he was telling me about, oh, you like the darker stouts, and he's like, yeah, I've got this one. It's something 5 quad hand. I wrote it in my notes to ask for it, but quad hand, something like that. I'll check it out. He's like, yeah, it's like 13.5% alcohol. I'm like,
Wow.
no, that's not why I drink beer. So I get home and I pour one of these and I look at the bottle from Sierra Nevada. This is an Imperial Stout, 10.2%. And I think the best part about it, it wasn't that expensive. It was $11.99 for the 6-pack. When you're spending $9.99 to get something at $11.99, I mean, you look at a Stone 6-pack that's got a higher ABV, and you're paying, $16 or
Oh,
more for
yeah.
the 6-pack. So it's a nice, dark, rich Imperial Stout, which I think Imperial Stouts are probably my favorite. And but it's good. I had but it's one that I just have one. I had 2 the other night, and then I had one last night, and I have I'll try not to have 3 tonight, because I won't be able to finish the show. So
Yeah.
but so anyway, I guess I left the other advertiser up to on this, and while I was talking about my beer, just didn't realize it. But yeah, it's got my nice Iron Fist Brewery glass, and so cheers to you, Dave. Welcome back from our 1 week
Cheers.
sabbatical. Thank you to everyone that's watching. Hey, if you got something, if you saw something cool in sports this weekend and you want to share it, and we'll be happy to talk about it, just drop something in the comments. If you saw a cool game or something upset you or something you liked or a player that you liked, or just throw it in the comments. We'll give you a shout out. We'd love to talk about it because that's why we're here. We're just talking about sports and our brews, and a busy weekend in college. I actually checked out, was able to watch some college games this weekend. I think the first, obviously, the one that's on the top of everyone's talk list this week is the LSU Alabama game. That was a game. That was a fun game to watch. I was, they should all be, top seeded teams playing against each other every week.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone wanted out of that game. I mean, it was close. You had, some high profile players in there making plays. Tua was back. Joe Burrows, who might be in the lead for the Heisman now after beating Alabama, the quarterback from LSU. So it's everything that you wanted out of that big game. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, when people start to win a lot like Alabama has, a lot of people start rooting for the underdog. I mean,
Sure.
anyone's going to root for, unless you're a Patriot fan, everyone's going to root for any other team this year to win the Super Bowl besides Patriots, unless you're a Patriot fan. It's kind of
That
the
is so
same if
true.
you're an Alabama fan, or maybe a Clemson fan lately. They've been playing so good the last few years, but you kind of want to see someone else win, and I think that gave a lot of people a lot of joy seeing LSU pull off that win, and it was a good game. So that was everything it was built up to be. So that was cool.
Yeah, I thought LSU just kept letting Alabama just stay too close, and I just kept waiting for Alabama to get the lead and just put a nail in it and walk away like they normally do with wins, and but LSU stayed tough and scored. I mean, just kept going down the field and scoring. I mean, they had a big lead, let Alabama back, but then it's like, okay, that's enough of that BS. So, and they did what they had to do and took care of business. But so what else happened this weekend in the college football?
There was a lot. There was a really good upset. So Casey O'Brien, who was one of our play it through
Mhm.
players, he didn't get to play last week, but he was part of a team in a major upset. So Minnesota, who is still undefeated, that nobody is talking about, they have a great team, great coach, and PJ Fleck, one of my favorite college football coaches, probably, who was rumored after Willie Taggart got fired from Florida State, which I was jumping up and down when I saw that as a Duck fan, in Las Vegas when that came across the ticker. Because I don't like that guy after he was at Oregon for 1 year. But PJ Fleck came out and they beat Penn State, gave Penn State their first loss. So that was big. It didn't really move Minnesota up a ton, which I'm kind of surprised. Since they are in the Big Ten, there's other teams ranked. They still play two out of their last 3 games are against ranked teams in the top 25. So I think if Minnesota continue to win out, they could maybe challenge or be at least, I mean, they're going to be undefeated if they win their last 3 games. So
Mhm.
how can you not talk about them being a fourth team in the playoff if they're undefeated? They've beat some good ranked teams. I mean, are they Alabama? Probably not, but they played who's on their schedule. They've beat ranked teams. So they at least have an argument, I think, if they can go undefeated. So that was a big upset, I thought. Um, and then, all the people at the top were still kind of winning. Ohio State, they had a big win. Clemson, they had a big win, and Clemson's really got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. They play Wake Forest, who's 7-2 next week, but Wake Forest isn't even ranked. But they play them, then they play South Carolina, who upset Georgia.
Yeah.
So you never know. You never know. Clemson's not as good, I don't think, as they were last year. They're not bad, obviously. They're undefeated at 10-0, but they're beatable. I think they're more beatable this year than they were last year. And so we'll have to see. But I don't know. Who do you think should get that fourth playoff spot? Because right now, locked in is LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson. And then you have a couple undefeated teams left, in like Minnesota and Baylor, who don't quite have the resume
Right.
or the profile. And then you have a ton of one-loss teams: Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Utah, Oklahoma. Who gets that fourth spot? It's kind of up for grabs.
I I think if all these teams, if Georgia, Alabama, if Georgia wins out, I think they get it. If Alabama, Minnesota, Oregon, Baylor, Oklahoma, Penn State, Utah, well, Utah, any one of those two, Utah and Oregon play each other, but if any one of those teams wins out and Georgia doesn't, I think it goes to Alabama. Um, I think if Oregon wins the Pac-12, they're in. That's just I just think that if Oregon wins the Pac-12, they're in. And
Well,
the committee has to look at, the Pac-12 has had a lot of top 25 teams that just sit there and beat up on themselves all year. And if Penn State, or I'm sorry, if Utah wins out and then Oregon beats them, Utah may even move up more, and Oregon might slide up a spot or two. So you're really looking at a top 5 team beating a top 10 team to get that fourth spot. That's just a homer in me, saying that, because I want can Oregon beat LSU? Yeah, it might be a fun game to watch. I don't think that Oregon's offensive play calling is there. The defense is there. The defense can play with the top 3 teams, but the offense I don't think can.
yeah, and Utah's ranked 9th, so they're a top 10 ranked team. So if Oregon can beat Utah, that's another ranked team, high ranked team that they'll have beaten. And then, really, if you look at the line of work, if we win out, if Oregon wins out, and Utah is still ranked really high when we beat them, our one loss was to another ranked team, Auburn, which we want Auburn to continue to win. We want Auburn's record to be as good as it can be at the end of the season, because that means we'll have one loss, and it was at the very end of the game with 24 seconds left. Our one loss at the start of the season. That was our first game of the season. We were
Yeah.
0-1. We haven't lost since. And it was on the very last play of the game, basically, against a really good, highly ranked team still. So, I mean, I think we would have an argument for sure if we went out and Utah, if we're like Utah's only remaining loss left on their schedule, they're still going to be a formidable team that's ranked at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And if Auburn can keep winning, and that's our only loss in the first game of the season on the last play of the game, that's a fairly good argument against some of these other one-loss teams. Like, because Georgia, remember, Georgia didn't lose to a ranked team. They lost to South Carolina. We at least lost to a ranked team.
Right.
And that wasn't their first game of the season either. That was in the middle of the season. So I think we even have a better case than Georgia does if we win out and Georgia wins out, based on how we lost, when we lost in the season, who we lost to. I think no one gives the Pac-12 enough credit because we always knock each other around. I mean, yeah, Alabama lost to LSU, and LSU's great, but a lot of the times there's no team in the Pac-12 that ever goes undefeated because it's such an even playing field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's they always find out a way. Someone finds a way to knock off the top team almost every season. Someone gets upset, if not twice, in the Pac-12. So I don't know. I think Oregon has a good case, but and if you're Minnesota and Baylor and you end the season undefeated, you're kind of pissed off too if you're not going to get in the top four, and there's teams that have lost and you are undefeated. It's kind of like the old Boise State thing. It's like, well, we just played the schedule we were given and we won all of our games.
Yep.
So at least give us a chance. That's why I think at some point they should move it to like 6 teams. That way you could get a Boise State in there one year or a Minnesota in there one year or something like that, because all these, or the UCFs in the past years that were undefeated that don't get to play against the big boys, at least then they get a chance,
Or
and
division winners, or the Pac-12 winner and the Big Ten. If you're not already up there, then you have a grading down. But yeah, 6-8 teams. I think they have to do it. There's going to be if all these teams. So I put up here for everyone watching. We mentioned them, but all of these teams right now are really kind of vying for the fourth playoff spot this year. And so put in the comments, who do you think has the best chance of making it in that last spot, that last playoff spot for college football? I still think the conference committee will find a way to make an excuse to let Alabama in. They played LSU so close and they were right there. It's a bummer. They're just as good. They could probably beat them on any other given day. We think that they're the best looking team, even though they haven't played anyone all year. I was looking at something. Gosh darn it. I just remembered it and I meant to bring it up. They were showing the top 10 or 15 teams, ranked teams, as of this week. And the two teams, Oregon had the second hardest schedule. They had the 27th ranked schedule in the nation. And Alabama was like 59th or 70, something like that. I mean, it was so far down. I mean, Oregon's schedule was twice as hard as Alabama's. And I think that either LSU or Ohio State was the only one that had a harder schedule than Oregon. Who's currently in the top 10 or 15. And I really looked at that, and the conference committee has to look at that and say, who's played a tougher schedule? And when you come down to it, out of all of these teams that you're looking at right here, Oregon has had the hardest schedule this season out of all of these teams right here. And so if they can win out and win the Pac-12, I really think that based on that strength of schedule, that Oregon should get in there. So, but hey, share with us. Who do you think you're watching? The million people that are watching right now. If you can, put in the comments, who do you think? Make a case, for who you think will get in. We'd love to hear about it, or shoot you down either way. So, no, but how did Liverpool do this week? Because we got to always talk about some Premier League soccer. I'll drink beer while you talk about it.
Well, last weekend they played the second best team in the English Premier League, Manchester City. Big match. Liverpool was at home, and they showed out. They won 3-1,
Wow.
Which is a great win against that team. All the superstars for Liverpool scored. Fabinho, Mohamed Salah, Mane. We were up 3-0. They didn't get a goal till the game was almost over just to put something on the board. So it was a real dominating performance by Liverpool. They're now 8 clear points up in the table. So they have a nice lead in the English Premier League at first. Now have that momentum, that mental ability to know that they beat Manchester City, well at home. So that's good momentum. So that's the big thing that went on in English Premier League. I did make a bet. Yeah, Barbara.
Woo, Liverpool.
All right.
Oh,
Barbara's
thanks,
my
Barbara.
new favorite viewer.
I think this might be Barbara's first. I don't know if this is Barbara's first time viewing the show.
Is.
Thanks for Barbara, or at least
Welcome,
it's
Barbara.
your first time
Yeah.
commenting. So I like your profile pic. I want to go there and just hang out on that beach and look at that island.
Yeah.
So all right, yeah.
Nice.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and but I made an English Premier League bet for the season. So Tottenham, who hasn't been playing very well, I made a bet that they will not finish in the top 4 of the table at the end of the season. Right now, I think they're 11th or 12th, but the season doesn't end till April. So this is a long bet out that I have to wait for. But just the way they've performed so far this year in the first third of the season, not real confident they can be in the top 4 with how all these other teams are playing. And really, Liverpool and Manchester City aren't going anywhere. So really, there's only 2 spots, 3rd and 4th, that they're going to have to beat someone out for. And right now, I just don't think they're going to do it. I see Crystal Palace or Arsenal or Manchester United or some. I see plenty of teams playing way better than them that I felt it was a safe bet for me to make that they're not going to finish in the top 4. So I'll be looking forward to that bet in April. But Liverpool got a big win last weekend.
That's awesome. Seattle has got a. Oh, my app just crashed. Seattle got a play soccer in the rain up there, and they what?
Yeah, MLS championship. The Seattle Sounders are now 2-time winners of the MLS championship, and didn't hurt that they got to play at home. Just kind of happened that way. They were kind of underdogs coming into the playoffs, and they managed to run through the playoffs in the West. And then they beat Toronto up in Seattle on last Sunday. They won 3-1. And really, it was kind of the same as the Liverpool game. Toronto, Josie Altidore, he didn't score until the 93rd minute, which was basically right before the whistle blew for the game to be over. He just put a cheap one on the board, but Seattle just dominated, totally dominated. So that was awesome.
That's awesome. Hey, Kim, missed you too. Thanks for tuning in. We always love having you here. Keep commenting. So we're moving on in the NBA. And before we do, I just got to ask you a quick question. So on your shirt there, is that all the rookies and maybe Draymond Green that's on your shirt there? Because that's the team now, right?
Yeah, this is when we had some monsters on the court.
Oh,
and now you'll see at 7:00 tonight on ESPN when they play the Lakers what we are putting out on the court now. It's D'Angelo Russell scoring 50 points and everyone else chipping in with 4, except for Eric Pascal, one of our rookies from Villanova, has had a 30 and a 25-point game, which he's been playing his butt off. But yeah, we're probably not going to win a lot of games. So we're probably going to get a high pick in the draft for the first time since forever, for 7 years or so. And it'll be a really interesting season. But the only plus side of having your guys out for almost all the season is these young guys are going to get a ton of playing time that normally they wouldn't have got. And we're going to need it because they're going to need to be ready to come off the bench next season and be contributors, because that's what they were going to do this season until everyone got hurt. But now they can get a lot more experience under their belt for next year. So it is what it is. I mean, it's just a rough situation with all the injuries.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as rough if you didn't lose all the players this year. It's one thing when you don't care when people leave, I guess. But yeah, no, I just had to give you crap on the shirt. It's a nice shirt, though. It's a nice shirt. I haven't seen anything like that one before. So, just have to razz you and Dylan, because Dylan is a Warriors fan as well. So, on to someone else. Lakers.
Got to rep all my losing
Clippers
teams this week.
I don't even think this is really new. Oh, hey, the Nationals won the World Series. Okay, on to Oregon women's. Honestly, we didn't. So did they? Did we not? Did they win while we were? No, I watched the game. I watched the game. I saw Houston went up early. I thought, okay, that's what they needed, and Yeah, and they just couldn't put anything together. I guess congrats Nationals. I really didn't care who won. I was just kind of rooting for Houston.
Yeah, I mean that game was going on during our last broadcast, but we were done with our show
Mhm.
before it was over. So just
Houston
wanted to
was
make
winning.
mention and made sure,
Houston
yeah,
was
made
winning
sure
when
we
we
gave credit to
logged
the
off. Yeah.
Nationals. Yeah,
So,
I mean it's kind of crazy. I mean, did you see the things that came out recently too about the Astros? One of their former pitchers, Mike Fears, came out and said that they're stealing signs and stuff, and when they won it in 2017, and it's like, geez, man, what are you doing? Like, you want to, you whistleblower, like you're a part of it. I'm sure you were there.
yeah.
Like you're out, like it sounds like you're outing yourself. You were part of it. So, but I guess maybe his conscience just got the better of him and he couldn't hold on to a secret any longer. But it's weird he brings it up 2 years later after they
Yeah,
lose
that's
World
yeah.
Series.
Might as well
Why
just
don't you bring it up right, last year or something? It's a weird
yeah,
timing.
just let it should
Um,
just let it lie. Um,
yeah,
but
but congrats
so
to the Nationals.
and congrats to the Oregon women's hoops team because someone else beat a US team. I mean, it's not only that I'm not going to say that our okay, our men's US team was bad. But I'm not going to say our U.S. women's
The
team is bad
soccer
in any
team's
way, shape, or
terrible.
form. But I know Oregon's already got
No,
the top. Aren't they ranked number one nationally?
number one. Yeah.
Yes. So
But
to go out and beat the U.S. women's team, it's a big deal.
it's only, yeah, for women's basketball, I mean, it's only happened twice. The Tennessee Volunteers, they beat the U.S. women's national team in a game like this in 1999. That's the only other time it's happened. And, Sabrina Ionescu, who's probably going to be the player of the year for women's college basketball at Oregon, she had 30 points. I watched, some of the highlights. I wasn't able to see the game, but I watched a lot of the highlights. And I mean, she hit one from dead center in front, just dribbled up. I mean, she was probably closer to the half court line than she was the 3-point line and just buried it. Just like all the confidence in the world against the world's best team, basically. I mean, she's got Hall of Famers in front of her, like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird, who are guards that are guarding her, and she drops 30 and 11 rebounds, and she's
That's
still in college. And Sue Bird was just super impressed with her and was just like, she just keeps coming. Like, she just keeps coming at you. She doesn't stop. She's everywhere, and she's aggressive, and she just keeps coming at you. And she wasn't alone. I mean, she had a lot of help. She has a senior backcourt player with her. um, her name is Ruthie Hubbard. She had 18 points and 11 rebounds down in the post. And then there was a junior on their team, Satu Sabali. She's kind of a front court player too. She had 25 points and 6 rebounds. So Sabrina Ionescu is not alone. She's got some really great teammates that also play at a high level. So, I mean, it just sets the bar now, though, after this win. I mean, it's championship or nothing for the
yeah.
Oregon
Oh yeah.
women's team after beating the national team. It's like, how can you not beat everyone if you beat the women's professional all-star team,
Yeah.
USA basketball team? So, I mean, I don't know, though, how it doesn't give you a ton of confidence. I mean,
At
you
least.
should think now, oh, we can go out and kick everyone's ass because we beat the best.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to watch them the rest of the way after that.
Oh yeah, I mean, Oregon has been putting together a good basketball program on both sides, women and men, and I read that last week, and that was exciting news. I was like, sweet. And if anything, it doesn't mean the game didn't mean anything as far as rankings or anything else. But hey, confidence and to say,
Oh
hey, if we
yeah,
can beat these women, we can beat anyone. We can beat this
yeah.
team, we can beat any team, and just have that confidence to even when you're down to say, hey, we can do this, we can come back. So that's awesome for them. So moving on to the week in NFL football, what
Yeah.
let's talk about what we liked this week. What did you like first off?
I like how Baltimore's playing. So we haven't been on for 2 weeks, but the last 2 weeks, Baltimore's been knocking it out of the park.
Crushing it.
they knocked off undefeated New England and didn't just beat them. They like kicked their
Yeah.
butts kind of.
Yep.
And then they came out and dominated like they should, a really bad Bengal team, but blasted them out of the water. And in both games, Lamar Jackson's moving up the charts, looking like a MVP
Mm-hmm.
candidate. He should at least be in the top. I mean, I was looking at a stat today, and in rushing in the NFL, he's like top 15. He has more rushing yards than his running back Mark
Mm-hmm.
Ingram does, and Mark Ingram's not having a terrible season. Um, if you saw any of the highlights from last week of Lamar Jackson's run where he ran right through the defense, then
Yep.
put a spin move on two guys, and it's like a 62-yard touchdown. I don't know how long it was, but I mean, he just flew down the field, made a couple moves, spin move right in the end zone. He looked better than any of the running backs in the league running down the field. So just Baltimore for sure is the major one that I liked. And then I liked, who we've been bagging on all season, the Dolphins. They haven't quit. They've won their last two games. So they easily could have probably went 0-16, but Fitzpatrick is out there. He ran one in for a touchdown, and I mean they're not beating high caliber teams, but they're winning. I mean a win's a
Yep.
win, man. And they could easily gave up with what they had going already, but hey, they've won their last two games, so I got to give them credit. So I like that they're not just tanking, the season.
Yeah, no, I like that about the Dolphins also. They're not on my list, but I do like that about the Dolphins because you're right. They could have just, checked in or bagged it up or whatever, checked out, and and somehow thrown the rest of the season just to get, a great draft pick. But that's not the way you continue to inspire, because you're not going to get rid of that whole team, and you need to keep those guys coming back next year and give them something to play for. So that's good on them. I also put down, I also like the Ravens as well. I like how they're playing. I would be all right getting behind them, going very deep in the playoffs or to the Super Bowl. But the other thing I liked was you won't hear me say this very often, is how hard the Raiders are playing to win. I am not a David Carr fan, never have been a David Carr fan. Thought they should have checked this guy out. Got rid of him, sent him packing, but he's been impressing me as of late. I've been okay with it. But I just liked how they finished the game the other night. They went up late. Chargers went up, came right back down. That's expected, and they came right back and took it over. I mean, that's they just didn't lay down so late in the game, and they came back and won that game. But and unfortunately, I can't just pick one thing, because I also liked the Vikings showing up against Dallas. You got Adam Thielen out. He's been a vocal person on this team, driving them forward. They have their little internal tiff or whatever it was about how the ball wasn't, no creativity in the offense. The ball wasn't being thrown around. It's just a simple offense. And as soon as they had this little internal riff, they turned things around the very next week and started winning football games. And, and they beat the Americas team. So, which I'm always happy to see. But, so really, yeah, I'm with you with the Ravens, but I also like the Raiders and the Vikings, how strong they've been playing to pull out games. Not convincingly, but they're pulling them out. So, so I'll lead with what I didn't like. I didn't like how poorly the Rams offense played this week. It was like they were trying to give the game away. Jared Goff, I don't know what is happening. And Todd Gurley. I mean, this offense cannot do anything that they want. They cannot control the ball. They cannot. What the coach, and his name left me, but what he's doing that it worked. I know a lot of teams, they see it one year, they prepare for it the next year. That's just how this league works. And you have to outsmart everyone every year. If you come back with the same thing, it's just not going to work. It's like when the Rams won the Super Bowl, the greatest show on turf. The next year, people started preparing for it. And they had more defensive backs. I mean, they could play it. They could slow it down. And I don't know. I just watched this team. They're now third in the NFC West above the Arizona Cardinals. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're just simply not going to make the playoffs. So I didn't like that, and I spent a lot of time saying that because I meant to just say I didn't like how poorly the Rams played. But what I really didn't like watching the Chiefs game this weekend against the Titans, Andy Reid blew that game. Patrick Mahomes did everything he could to win that game. Andy Reid lost it, and that's just what he does. Kim says, "Hey, I didn't like it at all." Oh, the Cowboys game maybe. But Andy Reid just finds a way to lose big games, and that's just what he does. Unfortunately, Andy Reid, I said it last year, he just needs to go. He just does not need to be the coach of that team because he cannot lead them to a championship. The Titans are the only team that he has not beaten at least twice. He's only beaten the Titans once in his entire career. And he had that. He could have won that game, and he gave it away. So that's what I didn't like. It was just Andy Reid. I'm just going to say that. What about you?
I didn't like that my 49ers aren't undefeated anymore, and I had 4 people rooting for the Seahawks in my house while I was watching the game because my lovely in-laws were down from Washington, big Seahawks supporters. Even bought my father-in-law a very nice long sleeve, warm new shirt to wear for the game as a good faith move on my part, but it was a great game. And what happened is we had a kicker that came off the street that haven't really kicked all year, and he missed the one that he had to make. He made all the rest of them. I was really confident after watching him kick throughout the whole game. He had kicked one a very similar yardage away earlier in the game. I felt pretty confident that he could make it, and he shanked it. It wasn't even close. Right when it came off his foot, I mean, by the time it was at the line of scrimmage, you could tell that thing wasn't going. And so that was unfortunate.
But they picked him up off the street. I mean, this is his first game. He hit a big field goal. He hit the same field goal to get him into overtime.
He did. Yeah, and it was a great game. And, the whole time, I just knew I've seen enough Seattle games to know that Russell Wilson has made a deal with the devil, or he's like God's favorite son, because he has more magic in him than almost anyone I've ever seen in my life. I'm a 49er fan, and my in-laws, were like, "Oh, you guys are going to beat us, and we're not that good." And I told them from the start of the game, I go, if you have Russell Wilson as your quarterback, you have a shot.
Oh, yeah.
You're never going to get blown out. You're going to be in every single football game ever that he plays in, because he just figures out a way to get them in position to stay in games. Of course, they don't win every game, but I don't think I've ever seen him get blown out. He keeps you in every game, and if it's close at the end, odds are he's going to make some sort of play, which he did. And I was telling my father-in-law this. He dropped back in overtime to get that field goal range at the end of the game, and I was hoping for a tie at that point. I was like, I'll take a tie because we're not getting this ball back.
Yep.
And so he drops back. Most quarterbacks in the league would have stood there, thrown the ball away, forced a pass, done something like that. There's a handful that would have moved around in the pocket and then took off and got 22 yards or whatever it was to get them in field goal range. A lot of quarterbacks would have just tossed it. They would have tossed it away, or they would have made, a risky throw. And he pulled it down and got exactly what he needed to do and got them in range to win the game, and they did. So, I'm down about that, but I can't be that down. I mean, I'll have one loss.
Sure.
So
equal with the Patriots.
One loss. No one else is undefeated anymore either. So we're still have a great record. So it could be worse, but it was just tough because we had a chance to win. We didn't. So I didn't like that. And then same with you, the Rams offense. I mean, they gave Todd Gurley the ball 12 times. He had over 60 yards. He averaged 6 yards a carry. Give him the ball more than 20 times. Like, if the Rams are going to win, Todd Gurley needs to touch the ball 20 times. And Cooper Kupp, didn't have one catch.
Right.
He's like your best receiver.
Yep.
They might have thrown it towards him like 3 times or so. And you had Brian Cooks out. So who are you going to get the ball to? You're not giving it to Gurley. You're not getting it to your number one receiver. Obviously, you're not going to move the ball and get points. That's why I only have 12 points. You give Gurley the ball 12 times, and your best receiver doesn't catch a pass.
Right.
So that was just
Yeah, I don't
bad
think
to
that
watch.
yeah, and I don't think that was defensive planning. I think that was offensive execution. Because Cooper Kupp didn't forget how to run routes, and Todd Gurley doesn't forget how to run the ball. But you have to be creative all the same. Every week, teams watch film. They know what they're coming up against. They know Todd Gurley. They know who they have to shut down. You have to be creative, and and that was a big game. And I wish, I was pulling for the 49ers, of course. But I have to go back because we got a nice big comment here from Mr. King, and I've been reading it and I want to address it. You're absolutely right. Dallas did make Cousins look, Dallas, or I've in no way when I said I'm happy that Minnesota knocked off Dallas. That's just more of me being not a Dallas fan. You may be more of a Dallas fan. Yeah. Kirk Cousins, he's yeah, you're right. He's mediocre. He's not going to do anything. I do not have any aspirations for Minnesota going anywhere, but I'm going to say that Dallas always finds a way to lose a game. So that's all. You know what? That's all I'm going to say. Dallas will find a way to lose a game regardless of who they play.
Coach.
Yep. Jason Garrett, bye-bye.
They need a new coach.
So
Dallas needs a new coach because they got talent there.
Yep, they do.
Amari Cooper, Elliott, Dak. Dak is the second highest rated quarterback in the league besides Wilson. If you look at the quarterback rating. They just need a different coach.
Yep.
They need some new coaching, the new life at the coaching spot to get those guys go in the right direction.
Jason Garrett has something on Jerry Jones, and he won't fire him. So they don't care if they win a championship because they're bringing in millions of dollars every year. So, hey, let's talk about some mid-year awards, some mid-season awards in the NFL. We'll talk a little bit of offense, defense, rookie of the year, and coach of the year. I'll let you kick it off with who is your offensive player of the year. And before we move on, no debate there. We're allergic to prosperity with Jason Garrett as head coach. So we'll close it with that. I'm glad we're on the same page. So who is your offensive MVP at this point in the season?
For me, because it's the most important position on the field on offense is quarterback, I have to give it to Russell Wilson. Like I said, he keeps you in games. The talent around him isn't amazing. His offensive line isn't that great, but he finds ways to win. His stats are still amazing. He has the best rating for a quarterback in the league. He's got 4 more touchdown passes than the second guy in the league, which is amazingly Matthew Stafford. He kind of checks off every box. I mean, he's leading the league. He only has 2 interceptions. The only guy that has less that plays is Mahomes, but Mahomes missed a game or two. He missed 2 games where he could have had interceptions. Wilson hasn't missed any, and he only has 2 interceptions. He's leading the league in touchdowns, had the best rating. I mean, he's checking every box, and they're winning. And they just knocked off an undefeated team where he made the play to get him in to field goal range on primetime Monday Night Football. So for me right now, it's Wilson for all those reasons. And there's some other people that are probably close, but I have to give my nod to Russell right now, just based on what he's done so far.
I went a little bit different. I went back to the position I played, and that was running back. So I chose Christian McCaffrey, 989 yards, 11 touchdowns, averaging 5.3 yards a carry. He's their only offense. He is absolutely the MVP of that team, and I think that still he's the MVP of – I think he could be the MVP of the league. Unfortunately, the team isn't going to help him there. I know what reality is because Russell Wilson's going to be in the playoffs. and that's going to matter. So, but without Christian McCaffrey is the only thing keeping the Panthers above 500 right now. So, that's my
Yeah.
MVP of the season. Not that it will be the MVP of the season. For defensive MVP, I chose Myles Garrett, defensive end from the Browns. I mean, something's got to good kind of come out of the Browns, right? I mean, they're not going to win the Super Bowl like it was projected. I'm sure glad we forgot. One of the things we forgot to do in one of our first shows was actually pick who we thought was going to win the Super Bowl this year. We could probably pick it up next week and say, based on now, it's nothing like picking at the beginning of the season, because at the beginning of the season, the Browns probably would have been part of the discussion, but no, Myles Garrett, defensive end, 28 tackles, 10 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He's my defensive MVP right now, because as poorly as the Browns are playing, this guy's stepping up and trying to do everything he can. So
Yeah, my guy, he's a defensive end too. My guy, or no, actually, he's outside linebacker. He's a rush linebacker, Shaq Barrett. So I took him from Tampa Bay. He's tied with the league lead in sacks with 11 and a half. He's got an interception on the year, four forced fumbles on the year, and it was really close. I almost put Chandler Jones, because Chandler Jones is also has 11 and a half sacks. He actually has 5 forced fumbles, and he's recovered 3. He just doesn't have an interception or anything like that. But I almost picked Chandler Jones. It's almost 1A, 1B for me. But I agree, Myles Garrett's also he's the bright spot kind of on the Browns this year, and which is great for him since he was such a huge pick for them. He's a young guy, that they should lock up for long term. But I just picked Shaq Barrett because he's been pretty consistent all year long. He does also have that interception, and I couldn't find really any linebackers that, there's several that have lots of tackles, and, Luke Kuechly, he's great. Bobby Wagner's great. There's some great linebackers, some pretty good defensive backs. But yeah, I just went with Shaq Barrett because he's really stood out to me this year.
So Marco is Lamar Jackson from Baltimore, and I'll tell you, Marco, that was I actually typed.
I think he was my second.
Yeah, I typed Lamar in on our outline first, and then I changed my mind because I just wanted to go with someone that wasn't a quarterback, that wasn't in a premier spot. But Lamar Jackson has been absolutely. If you say who has been your favorite player to watch this year, top of my list would be Lamar Jackson. Absolutely. Kim, the Bosa brothers. I agree with 100%. And hey, Kim, just stay tuned. Just stay tuned for another 2 minutes. So, who do you have for Rookie of the Year?
My Rookie of the Year right now is Josh Jacobs, the running back for the Raiders. He has 811 yards rushing already halfway through the season. He's got 7 touchdowns. Coming in, he didn't play a lot at Alabama. He was kind of shared carries, and I didn't really know how well he would do. But for me, he's my MVP, because if you look at right now, halfway through the season, he's on pace to rush for almost 1,400 yards or something. And there's not, if you look at the list of running backs and rushing yards right now, there's only maybe 8 in the league that look like they might hit 1,000. I mean, there's like a top 8 to 10, and then it's a huge drop off. I mean, it goes from like 750 yards to like 500 yards. Like, there's a big disparity from the top backs, the elite backs, to the second tier backs. It's a big jump. So I'll take Josh Jacobs. Plus, they're winning, and I think he's, they have a winning record now. They're 5-4, and I think he really helps David Carr a lot. He takes a lot of pressure off him. He's a good weapon for them, so that David Carr doesn't have to lead that Raider team, because we've seen what happens when David Carr has to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders aren't that good. So when you got this kid rushing already for 800 yards and 7 touchdowns, I think he means all the difference in the world to that Raider team right now. And he runs hard. He's fun to watch. He's fun to watch run.
Oh, I agree. And Before we move on to my rookie of the year, um, I meant to say that my second. Oops, I hit the wrong button there. My second favorite was defense. I was just going to give it to a whole team, and that was the Primetime Sports League Wasted Talent team, who's only after 5 games. Okay, this is the team I'm the captain of. We're undefeated, and we're only giving up 14 points a game. And the last 2 weeks, we've played the number 2 and number 3 uh, offenses, and we've held them to 22 points. And this Sunday we held the team to 14 points. Um, or 16 points. Yeah, 14 points. So we're only giving up 14 points a game when the top offenses are normally scoring 60 to 80 points a game.
Oh yeah.
So when that's happening, I that's a pretty damn good defense. We are we're holding teams so steady. So anyway, I want to give a shout out because yay to my team, but Primetime Sports, and what's funny is that we were number 6 in offense, and we did move up to number 4 this week. So we won 64-14, I think it was. So yeah, we put on a clinic this week. And anyway, so my I gotta get back. What my rookie of the
Rookie
year.
of the year.
Rookie of the year, Kim, you will be happy. My rookie of the year is Nick Bosa, defensive end for the 49ers. 7 sacks, 29 tackles, a touchdown, and a forced fumble. This guy is disruptive. That's what every time I watch, it's not the stats. It's not the stats. It's just the simple disruption to the offensive flow. This guy he's in there. And whether it shows up on a stat or not, you see the name on the back of the jersey in every play when the whistle blows. So my rookie of the year, it was going to be someone else, but a tight end. But Nick Bosa is easy. It really was easy on here. Amber, obviously, because I'm just that good. Amber agrees with me on that one. And you know what? You go ahead. You know what? Why don't you go ahead and just tell everyone? You're right, Amber. He has been killing it. Go ahead and pick the coach of the year because we both picked the same one.
It's my guy, Kyle Shanahan of the Niners. I mean, only lost so far this season's in overtime. And it's funny because everyone's like, "Oh, you could be a good team if Garoppolo comes back." Garoppolo didn't keep us in that game last night, or he hasn't really kept us in any game all season. It's been our defense.
Yep.
It's been that Robert Saleh getting all that young talent on the defensive line, Bosa, Armstead, even Robert Blair, unfortunately, who's out for the season after Monday night. Buckner, Thomas is showing up now. We got a lot of good young talent on that defensive line. We got veterans in the secondary. We got Richard Sherman leading that group of guys, in the secondary playing well. Unfortunately, we lost Quan Alexander, but Fred Warner stepped right in there and played really well for us at linebacker this year, and he's a young guy. So, our defense has been and leading us. But when I watch Kyle Shanahan this year, I love watching his play calling. I love watching what he does with Kittle and his tight end. You saw Juszczyk, the fullback, was back for the first time this week, and you can see how he gets so many lead blocks to open up the running game and holes in the run. I mean, for me, like, I was a receiver, so you would think I would love all this 5 receiver set spread stuff. I hate it. When I coach, I don't run any of that crap. And when you can't do it, it's the ugliest looking football in the world. If you can't get the timing right and it's 80 million screen passes that are dropped to your receivers and they're getting 1 yard or -4 yards on a catch, it's the worst football to watch when it's not clicking. When it's clicking, it looks awesome. When it's not clicking, it's the ugliest thing you ever seen in your life. So when I run offenses, I use my fullback a lot. I use my tight ends a lot. Double tight ends, move them around,
Mhm.
have them going everywhere, misdirection with them, all that kind of stuff. So I love watching all the plays he's calling. So yeah, I give it to Kyle Shanahan for sure because I didn't expect. I thought we'd be better, getting Garoppolo back and we would have a better record than we did last year. But I didn't expect us to go this long and be undefeated and win like we have. So
Yeah.
and you're really going to learn a lot though because we've only played a couple good teams. The 49ers schedule the second half of the year gets extensively harder, like way, way harder. I mean, we played the Cardinals this weekend. That may be the only other easy game we have the rest of the year. I mean, we play the Packers, the Saints, we play the Rams again, we play Seattle again. We play a lot of really good teams the rest of the way out. So you'll really learn to see how good Kyle Shanahan is. This second half of the season is what's going to count because our schedule is way, way tougher in the second half than it was the first half.
And and offense sells tickets, defense wins games. That's nice. I'm
Absolutely, they are.
you mentioned, and I forgot if they're on our picks this week. I got to look. Oh, they are. So I'll save it for the picks. And Kip, what the heck is going on with your team? Are you talking the 49ers? There's
She's a
nothing wrong
Charger
with them.
fan.
Oh, Charger.
She's a
Yeah.
she's a Charger
Come
fan.
on. Charger fan. I have a guy on our team, on my flag football team, that's a Charger fan, and you just gotta he's gotta accept reality. I'm sorry, Kim. Let's have a moment. The Chargers, they're gonna win games. That's it. Yeah, that's it. They're just gonna they're gonna get your expectations right here. Right, this is your expectation that they're going to sell you, and this is what they're going to deliver. All right, it's just, and they're going to win some games, keep you going, keep you interested, and then in the end you'll just be let down.
So
My son Marcos is probably the hardest finishing
our
out for
schedule,
the 49ers. Yeah, but
and
I don't think this we're going to get into it right away, but I don't think this game this weekend is as easy as it's going to line up to be. So, on paper.
well, wasn't the first time. And another thing with the Chargers that I think is hilarious is, I mean, Philip Rivers, he'll probably be a Hall of Famer. He won't be first ballot. He'll get in. He has the numbers and everything. But until he leaves, they're not going to win just because they fired Ken Wisenhunt, their offensive coordinator, who was a former head coach in the league and everything. It doesn't matter because I'm pretty sure Philip Rivers for the last 15 years has called every play at the line of scrimmage, kind of like Peyton Manning does. He checks out every play. He basically is your offensive coordinator. So if I was the Chargers, I wouldn't pay some guy $500,000 to come in and be my offensive coordinator. You don't need him. This guy's been in the league for 20 years. He calls every play by himself anyway. He already makes millions. Just let Philip Rivers do it. Why are you paying a guy to be a figurehead that he's not going to listen to because he probably thinks he knows, and he might, more than the offensive coordinator? So it's funny, but they play in Mexico City this weekend. I think a lot of the Chargers players should just get drunk on good tequila, maybe just stay down there for a few days after the game, and just have a good time being an NFL player and don't worry about winning too many more games. Just have a good time till Phillip's gone, and hopefully this coach doesn't lose his job because, old man Rivers is calling every play at the line of scrimmage, and they can't win ball games.
Just ask for double pours on your margaritas. They'll be happy to do it. It's dangerous. So, something I'm actually, because Marcos says that Rivers needs to get off his wife. Has 13 kids.
I think it's legit 7. I think he has 7 kids, legit 7. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the levity right there, Marco.
How can you be that focused when you got 7 kids at home?
It's like, doesn't matter if I win or lose. I'm gonna go make another kid.
You'd have to live somewhere else. You'd have to live somewhere else during the season. How could you even focus on your job? You got 7 kids at home.
Oh,
I'm glad he's a millionaire. Hopefully he has like 6 nannies, one for every kid or something. Holy moly.
oh. Hey, let's get this. Let's get to a great topic. Let's talk about our picks. Since we missed last week, we couldn't come back and share with everyone. How we did last week. We're just going to combine last week and this week into one. We always do 5 picks a week. We do 4. We do 4 games, and we also pick the biggest spread. And so over the last 2 weeks, Dave was a fantastic 2-8.
Yeah,
and Chuck
you're
was
kicking my ass.
7-3. I only lost 3 games out of 10 over the last 2 weeks. That's okay. I suck at fantasy, so I just gotta have to relish in this for a few minutes.
You should. You're doing good. You're kicking my butt.
So and where that puts us for the season is you're 22 of 27, and I'm 27 of 22. So I have an entire week on you, and
good thing it's only mid-season.
I was really I had totally forgot about the week before, but this week game when you texted him to me, I was really excited that with what you picked and what I picked, and I really felt strongly about it. And I was like, oh, I think I got, like, I picked Minnesota over Dallas, and you picked Dallas. I think you picked Dallas, right?
Yeah, I did pick Dallas.
We both picked the Rams and lost on that. I picked Seattle.
The Seahawks.
I took the Seahawks, but I'm going to tell everyone I did not pick the Seahawks to win. They were favored by 6.5, and so I thought that it would be a close game and that the 49ers would win by 1 or 2 field goals. And so,
yeah.
And then I also Chargers Raiders game. I picked the Raiders.
I made my pick on that Niner game, not knowing George Kittle was going to be out. I may have picked against my spread if I knew our best receiver was going to be out when I picked, because right when I saw that, I was like, oh, damn. I was like, no way. I was like, I don't even know, because he opens up so much of our offense. I mean, he takes up that middle. You have to focus on him. He opens everything up for other people. And I was like, I thought we would still win, but I was like, I don't think we're going to win by more than a touchdown if we don't have that guy in our offense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, 49ers still sort of won. So let's get on to this week's pick. So first game up. So I'm kind of looking at these, and I don't want to say it's what they called this weekend's game with the Giants and the Jets the toilet bowl, bottom of the league, games. I don't want to say this some of the picks, but yeah. I think some of these teams in our picks are really down there. So let's start with the Jets. Are visiting the Redskins, and the Redskins are favored by 1.5. This why would you put Dave picks these games? I like it.
Yeah,
Dave picks these games.
I'll let you know. This week. This one's picked because it's the closest spread, and we do that every week. Every week I put in whatever the closest spread is. And the biggest spread. So I do whatever the biggest spread is and whatever the lowest spread is. And that's 2 out of the 5 that I put every week.
Okay.
This is the lowest spread. But actually this week, if you look at the schedule, there are only 2 games this week where both teams are 500 or above facing each other. There's a lot of games this week that are like a team has 6 wins and a team has 2 wins. And there's a team that has 5 wins and a team that has 3 wins. So there's really no elite games this week. The best game is Houston at Baltimore as far as records of teams. But only 2 games this week has both teams that are playing are 500 and above. Only 2. It's a really kind of crappy week to watch football. Unless you're a fan of one of those teams that's playing one of those crappy teams, and you can almost count on a blowout.
So I'm going to go ahead and pick this, and I'm just going to go with what Amber says. I'm going to pick the Jets in this, and because why? I mean, the Redskins are starting their new rookie quarterback, and I'm just gonna. This is a toss up. I could flip a coin and probably pick the winner. But I'm gonna go with Amber. Amber, you and I are together this week. Jets, 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 Jets. Okay, that's it. That's all I gotta say about that.
I'm in on that too. I'm in on the Jets. I can't pick that rookie quarterback. The Jets have won some games this year. Yeah, I think they got more talent than the Redskins. I'll take the Jets.
It seems our viewers are in agreement with us, so that's always good. All right, next one: Steelers at the Browns. Oh, I forgot an L in there.
Steers.
The Steers. Let me put an L in there. Save that. And put it back up. Steelers are now at the Browns, not the Steers. This is, I don't get this, but okay. Browns are favored by 3. The Steelers beat the Rams.
Yeah.
The Steelers beat the Rams. The Rams have a better record.
They've
than
won
the
3
Browns.
in a row. Yeah.
Who've won? Steelers, right?
Steelers have won 3 in a row. The Browns only won last week. That's why I put it on here, because I was like, why are they favored? Why would they be favored?
Because they're visiting the Browns. It was really a toss-up. I mean, it's even, and because the Browns are home, let's give it to the Browns. But the Steelers, I mean, the Steelers. I was gonna look and see what the Steelers'
The
record.
teams they've beat aren't spectacular.
Steelers are 5-4. The Steelers are 5-4. The Browns are 3-6. The Steelers have won 2 more games this year than the Browns.
3 in a row.
And the Browns are favored.
Yeah.
Who are you picking?
Scratcher, isn't it?
Who are you picking?
I had to take this. I had to take the Steelers. They've won 3 in a row, and the Browns, I don't know. They won last week, but they beat like Denver or some crap team. So, yeah, I'm taking the Steelers. My Uncle Chris will be proud. My dad will be proud.
Kim will be proud.
See, we got the Steelers. I got Steeler blood in my family. I got to take the Steelers. I can't take the Browns.
So, womp, womp, womp. Amber, can't go with you on this one. Cannot do it. The Browns ain't who you thought they were. I'm taking the Steelers on this also. I mean, it just has to be. We're both picking the Steelers to beat the Browns, or not lose by 3. So lose by a safety maybe, but yeah.
Steelers picking that.
Marco says the Steelers defense are going to shut down whatever the Brown dish out. So I think so. They still haven't. The Browns just still haven't figured out how to use the way. This is also. I'll be honest with you, Marco, and you're right. I agree with you, Marco. The problem with the Browns is coaching. You got a new coach in there that just doesn't know what to do with this talent. Last year, I forgot who the coach was because they just shuffle around. But they had a shot with he had a better shot with the talent that they have now. This is just not a creative team. They just don't know how to use the talent that they have. They have great talent in Cleveland, but it's not winning game plan. I'm used to being the black sheep. Okay, good. I'm glad. So moving on to the Bills are favored by 6 at the Dolphins. I would have thought I thought this would be a little bit bigger, but you visit Miami. Dolphins have won a game.
Dolphins have won 2 in a row. 2 in a row.
Feeling confident. I don't know who to pick in this game, to be honest. If you want to chime in, I'm going to take a swallow and figure it out.
I'll take the Bills.
Yeah. See, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just said something. Kim says the Bills. She agrees with you on this. It's hard to here's the thing. It's hard to bet against the Bills in this situation because they've been playing strong football.
Yeah.
They've been playing tough
football.
They're
a sleeper.
Yeah. Marco takes the Dolphins, and you know what? So does Amber. I'm gonna tell you what. I have 5 games in my pocket on you. I got
I was going to
5
tell you,
games.
you should just pick every. You should just let me go first and pick every game for the rest of the season. Just pick the same thing, and then you'll win. You'll win by 5.
uh,
If you want to take the mathematical
uh,
strategy to win this year, just take every game I take, and you can't lose.
I wouldn't do that because I don't remember what you picked. So I'm gonna. You know what, Marco and Amber, I'm with you. I'm taking the Dolphins. Dolphins are
You'll
not
probably
gonna
win.
lose. The That's what this shit I pulled last week. That's So I'm taking the Dolphins to win this week, and there you go. We've set ourselves apart. All right, here we go. A game that should be a little more competitive. The Bears and the Rams. The Bears are visiting here in Los Angeles, 25 minutes up the road from me.
I'll be there.
Will ya?
One of my best friends since kindergarten is flying into San Diego tomorrow. He's been a Bear fan his whole life since 1985. He just told me he bought a $165 Dick Butkus jersey to wear to the game, and we will be in section 123 at Memorial Coliseum on Sunday night, and we will be rooting for the Bears in LA at the Memorial Coliseum on Sunday night. So look for some. I'm going to go live while I'm at the game.
Awesome. You
So
should.
check the SportsnDrafts page. I'll have some pregame stuff. I'll have some in-game stuff and some after the game stuff, and give you some sights of the Memorial Coliseum. So if you've never been there, which it's a historical Coliseum and stadium, the Olympics have been there. They've had so many great Rose Bowls there, different things. Well, it's been in Pasadena, but they've had a lot of great things in Memorial Coliseum forever. So tune in on Sunday on the page and check out the videos that I will be popping up and going live on Sunday Night Football.
So, Marco questioned your pick on, exactly Fitzmagic. That's all you got to say. They found
magic.
They found the magic, and we've got some people already picking this game. So I'll go ahead and pick first, so that we don't taint anything. Oh man, this is so hard for me because Trubisky is either or whatever or and the Rams really laid down last week. They scared me. The Bears have a better defense. I'm picking the Bears with the spread. I'm picking the Bears in this game.
Yep. I'm saying I got to pick the Bears. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And any low-scoring game, I don't think the spread of 6.5 is going to be a factor.
Yes, he is.
So I'm taking the Bears.
Eric,
I think you're going to see maybe a score that's a lot. So that's who's going to the game with me right there, Eric Brooks.
Oh!
He'll be here tomorrow night. He's all packed up. He's even bringing some Prodigal Son beer down with him and a growler for me to try, a Huckleberry Wheat, because you can only get huckleberries up in the Pacific Northwest. And I'll be featuring that beer next Wednesday on the show. He's bringing me a beer to feature. So
I just want to call out Amber. You're on your own here. You're on your own, Amber. So Amber, if you're right, you can come back here next week and say, you shove it in her face that you know better than us, and we're okay with it. All right, last game, the big spread of the week. Ooh, let's see. Homer. What you gonna do? I'm gonna tell you. I'm picking the Cardinals.
You probably should. Well, didn't we already play the Cardinals? We only won by like 4 points or something like that. Didn't that already happen? Marco tunes in for the drafts section. I think we didn't we already play the Cardinals and we only won by like 4 or 5? I think that happened already. I want to say that happened early at the start of the season. So as much as I would love to take my 49ers, I don't think we're going to win by 11.5 points. That is a lot of points, especially when you got Chandler Jones, who is leading the league in sacks. He's going to get pressure on Garoppolo, and we've already seen what happens when that happens. Clowney terrorized Garoppolo on Monday. Now you're going to have a guy that's playing better than Clowney coming on that line against McGlinchey on the right side of the line. So I just can't really take my Niners at 11.5. I think we'll win, but I don't think we'll win by 11.5. So I have to take the Cardinals just on the spread.
Yeah. The last one was just 13 days ago. 49ers won by 3.
Yeah.
How does the spread? The Cardinals even kept it close this week.
And,
How do they pick 11.5 points?
We have a short week. We just played, so we have a shorter week than everyone else besides Seattle.
The last game was 28-25. Cardinals are putting up, I don't know, a shit ton of points per game and losing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm taking the Cardinals. You're taking the Cardinals with the spread.
Yeah.
Because I know you're a Homer 49ers fan. And so we got, I got a lot more comments coming in. So we've got Kim is taking come on, Kim, 11.5 points. Okay, Kim.
I hope you're right.
Kim, I'm going to give you a chance to change your mind here, Kim. When you're picking these games, you have to pick the spread. And the 49ers are projected to win by 11.5. Do you really think they're going to win by 11.5 points when they only won by 3 points last time? So Marco says he's taking the Cardinals with the spread. Smart. Amber, Cardinals with the spread. And of course, this is something that
might be
important.
Back.
Kittle.
He might
be back.
Might be back. So we're not sure yet.
Was he there in the last game? If so, they still only won by 3 points.
Yeah.
And he was. Here's a reason why.
Yeah, he was.
It's not that the Cardinals defense is good. It's their offense is good. Kyler Murray, Larry Kirk, who I've got on a fantasy team, who helped me tremendously this week.
That kid went crazy.
Yeah, that he did. Finally, it's about time. He should have been doing it all year.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's about time. And so anyway, so we got our picks in. We went through our 5 games. Talk a little bit of fantasy. I don't have a lot. You obviously are very proud because you beat your wife this week. I mean, not literally, but you beat her by 3 points in fantasy.
And you know how I beat her? Because 2 weeks ago I beat her, actually. Last week, or this week, I should say, the last weekend, I beat Chev, who was at number 1 spot. So I knocked her down for everybody. So that was good for the whole league because she was in first place. But 2 weeks ago, I beat my wife by 3. And the way I did it was Russell Wilson, her favorite player that plays for her team and is on my fantasy team, had like 59 points. He had like 5 touchdown passes the week I played my wife. She was not excited because before Seattle played, she was whipping me. And then I saw Russell's game and I was like, oh, I might have a chance to get back in this with his 5 touchdowns. And I looked and I won by 3. She was not very happy.
I finally won my second game of the year in your league. I am in 3 leagues, and I actually won 2 of 3 leagues this week, and that's the first time all year. I'm going to tell you, this has been a write-off year. This has literally been a write-off. Living on the waiver wire, I've been picking up players that I shouldn't be picking up, and now they're starting to perform. I could possibly win out the rest of the season, and so good on you, Amber's. That you beat up on your wife in fantasy football. I hope you feel good about that. I'm sure you did.
Oh, I feel great about it.
I'm sure you didn't benefit later off of that, but So, and I did. And Kelly, if Kelly and Steve are watching this, my big moment of the week is that I beat Kelly Divine, Fat Belly Football, who is a Hall of Famer in our league. She wins every week. This woman,
she's the greatest ever.
she is the greatest ever, and I beat her by 23 points this week for my second win of the week. She lost to one of the worst probably still the worst player in our league. I am bottom 10, number 10. She lost to me this week. I'm tagging you, Kelly Divine. Fat Belly Football. I'm calling you out. I won, and that's all I got. So, hey, let's go ahead and move on to something a little more important this week, and something we do every week. Dave has selected another fantastic. I just want to let you know, Dave. We were at an Oregon Ducks party next door with some friends of ours who, they're our next door neighbors, right there across the wall there. Their daughter went to Oregon, and but anyway, they're huge Oregon Ducks fans. We watched the game there. I meant to put some pictures and video up of us celebrating the Oregon over USC win. Maybe I'll show those pictures next week. And but I met a fantastic couple there that did this. I'm into like these extreme kind of sports, cycling, like and Ironman kind of competition. This was something that was really different. I can't even explain it, but I was talking with them. The gentleman that was at the party has gone through, I believe it was a type of cancer, and just killed it in this sport. And I asked him to be on our show. He said yes. I need to figure out. I'm now connected, so I'm gonna get him and his wife, and I'm gonna get him on our show because I think, and he'll be hopefully our first actual guest on this show. And Amber's asking, what am I drinking? I need some. It is
ethanol.
Sierra Nevada Narwhal Stout, 10.2 in the alcohol range. And it was inspired by a mysterious creature that dwells in the deepest Arctic seas. So that's what I'm drinking, Amber. And but anyway, we're gonna get on to our Marco. That's what they made chargers for, man. Plug it in.
Yeah, there's chargers. You can get them at most stores. Check your local Walmart, Target, CVS, Walgreens,
Amazon,
chargers.
Yeah, no one's phone should ever die during sports drafts. No one's phone should die, and so you're gonna.
How are you gonna use it tomorrow?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Plan ahead next time.
Plug that shit in. All right, so no, on to hey, let me
go
ahead.
Let me know if that gentleman, if we can get his shirt size, and there's a color of choice of a Play It Through shirt. I would be happy to get him one made and send it up to you so that you can give that to him if he would like.
I'm going to reach out to him this week and see if I can't get him on the next week or two. And
cool.
So thanks for watching, Marcos. Please, if you've got 3, 4, 5% left, even the damn dollar store W sells chargers.
You got change in your car?
So Marco, challenge for next week, Marco, make your phone last at least 2 hours, because we're an hour and 23 minutes in. We could go an hour and a half to 2 hours. We look like we're about an hour and 45 to hour and 50 right now. So you just need to plan better, Marco. That's all I'm saying. Love you, man. So, hey, let's move on to this week's Play It Through Person of the Week. And Dave, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Awesome. So our Play It Through individual of the week is a sophomore guard that plays for the University of Texas. His name is Andrew Jones. And he is our Play It Through Person of the Week this week because Andrew, for the last 2 years, has been fighting leukemia. So he hasn't played. He got into a couple games last year for about a minute. But basically, he came in. He was the leading scorer for Texas before he found out that he had this cancer. And He got to come back in his first game of the season this year. He played in the first game of Texas's season this year, and he scored a career high 20 points in 29 minutes against Northern Colorado. It was both of the team's first games, but he didn't play for 2 years. He came out. He was 7 for 10. He hit 4 of 5 3-pointers. Most of it was in the second half, and he just he had a quote after the game. It said, "Man, I can't even explain the feeling. Coach gave me a pep talk before the game even started, reminding me about the 23 months, the last time I played, how much work I put in. I just had to trust my work and everything I've been putting in. Just come out here and play." So basically, when this happened, one of his lugs wasn't working because he had 2 liters of fluid in it. He had to get the fluid pumped out of his lungs. Throughout the treatments, I mean, he could barely walk. He couldn't put his own shoes on. He couldn't put his socks, a shirt on, anything. That's his coach, Shaka Smart, right there, that he's with. Great coach. If you know college basketball, you know Shaka Smart has been a great coach in this college basketball game for about a decade now. And he supported him, kept him on the team, kept him motivated. And what was really touching is when I was reading about Andrew's story, is how much his dad helped him. So his dad, David, was paralyzed in 2007 from the waist down from a car accident. And he used his own experience of basically being paralyzed and learning how to, get through every day with a challenge. And he helped his son. And Andrew said, my dad, every time when I just felt like I didn't want to work, I didn't want to, try to get my legs back. I didn't want to do anything and I'd feel down for myself. My dad would say, "Hey, I don't feel sorry for myself and I'm stuck in this chair for the rest of my life," basically. So, come on, you got to do it. You got to work hard. You can do this. And the doctor he had was great in Texas. The doctor told him right away, "Hey, you're gonna play basketball again. I'm gonna cure you. Like you're gonna get through this, and I'm gonna make sure you do." So he had a great support system from his family, from his doctor, from the university. Once the team heard, that he had leukemia and he was out, they all wore their practice jerseys, had, Jones #1 on the back of them before pregame. So they go through their layup line and their pregame wearing his name and his number on the back of their warm up jerseys. And, just really supported. So this kid was really supported. And it was just great to see him come out and get his career high the first game of this season. Because you go from a kid that was recruited really high, you were the team's leading scorer when you left, and now all of a sudden, you have this leukemia, this cancer you have to deal with, and you don't know if you're ever going to play again. You don't even know if you're going to live. He didn't know, if he was going to live through this, and so he said it's gave him such a great appreciation, for his life. He doesn't take anything for granted. He goes hard every day because even though he's good now, like we've seen with a lot of cancers, it can come back. And he said, even though he's healthy now, you just never know when your body's gonna, give up on you, and it could come back. And so he's gonna live every day to its fullest because you're not guaranteed anything, and he really knows that now after what he's been through. But just so great watching him come out, seeing his teammates' reaction to his great game, the first game of the season this year. He looks really healthy. He said he doesn't quite have all his strength back. He can't quite jump like he used to. He's maybe not quite as quick as he used to, but I tell you what, he can still move. He's still shooting the ball, and he's bringing all of that momentum to his team. Even when he was first getting back, he wasn't quite fully healthy yet. He was on the scout team, and he would play on the scout team against the starters, which he should have been a starter. He's coming off the bench now. He doesn't care. He just wants to play. He loves that he can motivate his team. He loved it when he could get any amount of time trying to, regroup and come back when he was getting stronger and just being with his team out on the court, helping them get better. So just a great kid. Kind of a fun fact about him. His sister, Alexis Jones, plays for the LA Sparks. So his older sister by 2 years is professional in the WNBA. She was a big player at Baylor. She was the 12th overall pick in 2017 in the WNBA by the Minnesota Lynx. So, it's in his blood. This kid loves ball. His family loves basketball. It's a huge part of their life. And so for him to never be able to play again was a big worry to him. So just watching him be able to do this and fight through what he has and have success again is just an awesome thing. And he's everything that represents play it through. So I wanted to highlight Andrew Jones, the guard from University of Texas this week, as our play it through person of the week.
That was awesome. I mean, you every week you amaze me with who you can pull out, and that's inspiring. It's like you look at our lives, and it's like you can't compare it to what other
No.
people may have to go through just to get through their day, their education, their work, whatever it is, and you're able to every week pull out someone that is just that should truly inspire anyone that watches this show. And you know, so excuse me, I'm sorry that thank you again, and congratulations to this young man. But also, if anyone that's watching this show, if we hope that you're inspired by this, because Play It Through is a real it's a movement that Dave has created and is growing. If you feel that you or someone has played it through, let us know, because we would love to have you on the show, because your story or their story will inspire others, and that's what we want to do with this segment of the show. And we want to inspire people that, hey, in life there's adversity, and for some that adversity is more than just traffic, getting to work every day, right? It's an illness, it's a sickness, it's a disability, but they've played it through, and we want to inspire people. So reach out to us. We're at Sports and Drafts on Facebook and YouTube. Reach out to us, and we'd love to connect with you or someone so so Marco says, is there a website to visit? Marcos, we're not that big yet. Sports
It's
and
getting
Drafts,
built.
the more
We're working on it.
for Play It Through. So Sports and Drafts, no,
Yeah.
for Play It Through, it's being worked on, as Dave said. And but in the meantime, you know where to find us on Facebook and or even YouTube. And I'm just gonna put it in here. Let me type it out real quick. I'm just gonna throw it up there. It's at Sports and Drafts, and that's where you can find us on Facebook. And when you go to that Facebook page, you can send a private message to us and connect with us there. And then from there, we do have a little questionnaire to fill out or whatnot if someone's interested in being a part of the show. And it's pretty detailed, but we want to know everything we can about someone and what they go through. So we're asking the right questions and getting the right information to help and inspire others. So reach out to us, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube at Sports and Drafts. So another great segment, Dave. Thank you very much. Your movement is growing, and so is your reach. And thank you, Marco, for that question. So transitioning, what are we going to watch this week, Dave? Such always a hard transition, because you have it's so great and inspirational. It's like, that's where we should end it.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Now we got to go to TV Guide. Now I turn it into TV Guide.
Right? What are we going to watch? What are
That's all right. We got to.
What do you think people should be watching this week?
Got to tell the people what's coming up. And college football, I got 3 games for you this weekend. The first one being number 10 Oklahoma against number 13 undefeated Baylor is on at 4:30 on ABC. These are all Saturday games. And so number 4 Georgia also goes to number 12 Auburn, which, if you're a Duck fan, you want Auburn to win.
Sure.
And that's at 12:30 on CBS. And then the last game I have to watch is 7-2 unranked Wake Forest goes to number 3 Clemson, and that's at 12:30 on ABC. And I was a little surprised because Wake Forest is 7-2, But Clemson's still favored by like 34 points in this
Holy
game.
crap!
So I think it might be a little tighter than that. That's a little crazy for a team that's 7-2 at the end of the season, but maybe Clemson's that good. I don't know.
So let me ask you about the Georgia Auburn game. You know you want Auburn to win, but if Auburn wins, does that make more of an argument for Auburn to make the top 4?
I don't think they will, though. If Oregon wins out, even if Auburn wins this game, I think Oregon, where they're ranked right now, will still be ahead, especially if we beat Utah, who's probably going to still be ranked in the top 10 when we play them. I think Oregon will still have a better chance of hitting that 4th spot over Auburn. I don't think Auburn will move up that far enough to get into the top 4.
Okay, cool. So Amber says, "Thank you guys. I hope that doesn't mean you're leaving."
She's leaving.
You know, if you want to take this, he's so proud of you. Hopefully they're not leaving. And he's amazing. Yeah, Amber is saying he's amazing, Aunt Cindy.
We got a family love fest going on right now.
I know, right? You know, I feel like chump change. I'm a clicker. Okay, folks, I just click shit and Dave run. No, I'm kidding.
Chuck needs some love.
Dave is right.
You got like a third cousin or something that you can get to jump on here or something like that.
I need to get my sister on this show. I don't have third cousin.
Yeah, where's Shelly?
You know?
Come on, Shelly.
Shelly,
your brother,
Jack.
Shelly. Good Lord.
You know, I'm gonna reach out to them and call them out. So why the hell didn't you watch my show? I thought you loved me.
Your son's inside. He could at least say something. He's like probably 100 feet from you or something.
He watches, but he won't comment because then he thinks we'll ask him on the show. I've asked him on this show because Chuck for 2020. Yes. Oh, I won't.
Phone hasn't died yet.
I won't show you my wristband. But thank you, Marco. Okay, now I feel better. So, what are we watching this weekend, Dave?
Next thing, college basketball has started. There's been some cool stuff already. One of the first weeks they had 1 versus 2 and 3 versus 4. So that was cool. Last night, number 1 Kentucky lost to Evansville, which was crazy. And Walter McCarty, the coach of Evansville, used to play at Kentucky. So that had to feel really great for him that his small college beat his number 1 ranked former college he's an alumni at. But this week, the biggest game is definitely number 3 Michigan State goes and plays my sleeper to potentially make the Final Four in number 12 Seton Hall Thursday at 5:30 on Fox Sports 1. So if you're going to watch any college basketball, I'd say watch that one and watch out for Seton Hall. And it might be kind of a emotional game. The point guard for Michigan State, Cassius Winston, his brother died I think maybe last night or 2 days ago, got hit by a train at 8:30 at night and passed away. And it sounds like it might have been a suicide situation.
Ouch.
So that's really awful.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of those things again that falls into play it through. And if you have any feelings like that, make sure you call and get help. There are numbers you can call, suicide hotlines. Anyone that you have in your life that supports or love you, reach out to them. It's the worst thing you can do. That's the worst thing that someone can do. So that might be interesting to see how he plays or if he plays, because he's in line to be one of the players of the year this year in the country. So real emotional thing going on at Michigan State right now. So that's the college basketball game to watch. Right now, I'm watching the Clippers Rockets over here on a TV in my garage, and that's going on right now on ESPN. If you want to watch the Warriors lose by 30 to the Lakers later on tonight, Anthony Davis isn't playing, but that's the game that's following this one. Is the Warriors?
Is it a rest game? Is it a rest game?
No, I think he tweaked a little something. I think he does have a legitimate little tweak. I don't think he's Kawhiing this game. That's what I'm going to call that from now on. When you have a semi-healthy scratch, is you're Kawhiing a game.
Yeah.
But right now it's 95-88 Rockets over the Clippers with a minute and a half left. The only other game I would say to watch in the NBA this week is Thursday night at 5 on TNT. The Mavs go to the Knicks, and you might be thinking, why would I want to watch the
Yeah.
Knicks? They've won 2 games
Why?
this season. It's because Kristaps Porzingis, who they traded away from the Knicks, that was by far their best player, 7'1" unicorn, to the Mavs for basically Dennis Smith, who can barely get on the court for the Knicks, is coming back to New York for the first time to play against his old team, the Knicks. And everybody that was a Knicks fan hated the franchise for trading him for nothing. So I could see them cheering for Kristaps every time he makes a basket because
Yeah.
they hate management and the owner so much right now. So I say that's worth watching just for Kristaps Porzingis. Then we have Formula One coming up.
Yep.
So Lewis Hamilton already won the
Mhm.
championship in Formula One. It's his sixth time he's won the championship. He's one
Yep.
away from tying Michael
Mike
Schumacher's
Schumacher.
all-time record. And
Hmm.
so it is the Brazilian Grand Prix, which he won last year. So that's coming up, and that's Sunday at 9 a.m. on ESPN2. So if you want to see the champ, see if he can win the same race that he won
Yep.
last year and how he's going to do a week after he won the championship, because he can basically put it on cruise control if he wants. He's already won the championship. He doesn't have to go hard if
Yep.
he doesn't want to, but guess what? That's not in his makeup. He'll probably
No,
still win because he's the best.
he's an amazing driver. He
He's a
he
machine.
he
Yeah.
is. Absolutely.
And if you
And
want to know more about him and you don't know about Formula One, David Letterman, who grew up in Indiana, huge Indy 500, huge Formula One fan, huge racing fan. David Letterman on his show on Netflix interviews Lewis Hamilton and does great and is really excited. I don't know if I've ever seen David Letterman so excited to actually interview anyone. He's such a racing fan, which I didn't know, that he was like a giddy fanboy interviewing Lewis Hamilton, and it was a really great interview. So check that out if you
I
can.
haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
NASCAR up my street, Miami.
Yeah, why don't you take this one away?
I don't
This
know.
is this is your deal. You
This
got
is
it.
Miami. It's not the last race, but Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex are all still contending for the championship. Or is this the last one? There used to be Martin's.
It is
Or
the last race.
it is. They changed the
The
last
last
race
one
of the
on the
year.
schedule. Yeah.
So Denny
Championship.
Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch. Do we have any? Oh, and Martin Truex Jr. Do we have any NASCAR fans watching the show right now? Of those four, who do you think's going to win the championship? Because I'm going to tell you right now who's going to win. So it's Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex. I'm going to tell you, Kyle Busch is a. I can't even. I mean, I can say whatever we want on our show, but I won't. He's never going to be. Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, just slightly below Kyle Busch for me. Martin Truex is going to win this. Martin Truex, he came from a no-name team. I mean, he had to change teams, but he came not in a no-name team, but he won a championship
Joe
with a
Gibbs.
smaller team. That somebody that's not a Hendricks, right? And I think it was Front Row Furniture maybe that he won his for Bass Pro Shops on his car. This guy, he just can drive because now he's with a new team. He can just drive. And so I'm going to pick Martin Truex to win this and this championship. I hope Kyle Busch gets spun out somewhere, doesn't get hurt, but just gets spun out and out of the race. That's what I wish for Kyle Busch every race. Kevin Harvick, he's just a strong racer. You can never count this guy out. And then Denny Hamlin will wind his way to something. But I think he got in a fight last week with somebody. I can't remember. I thought he got in a fight with someone last week or the week before. But anyway, yeah, NASCAR, end of the season, final. These are the final four. Who's going to win? And then you've got a couple of games that are worthy of watching this week in NFL. Only two.
Yeah, it's the only two games. Like I mentioned before, it's the only two games where both teams are 500 and above. So I mentioned before, it's Houston at Baltimore, which how Baltimore's playing, they're probably going to dominate that game. And then the other game is the Patriots and Eagles. The Eagles are 5-4. Patriots have lost one game. So those are the only two games where both teams are 500 and above playing each other this week.
So, just tell me. I think you just said Ravens and Texans. Who's going to win? It's not going to count in our thing, but who's going to win?
Oh, Ravens.
Yeah,
Ravens going to kill them.
Patriots, Eagles.
Patriots.
I'm taking the Eagles.
Okay.
If you want to lose, go ahead. And I'm at that point right now. And Amber said, Isa, and he wants Bush spun out. Isa said Harvick, and he wants
that's
spun out.
His boy Joey Logano got knocked out of the playoff last week,
and that's probably the
Logano
fight.
Logano was in it until last week, and then he got knocked out of the championship four.
Oh, Kim, where's Joey? He got spun out, so he's out of it. He's out. So hey,
it might be worth mentioning that Joe Gibbs has 3 out of the 4 racers on his team in the championship. 3 of the cars are Toyotas, and 1 is a Ford, I think. No Chevys this year.
Screw those Japanese. No, I'm kidding. I drive a Japanese car.
I was just saying that to try to make you proud that I researched some NASCAR.
I know. Stuff. I'm surprised. I'm like, where the hell did he come over this shit? Fuck. I had to research for my rookie of the year and defensive player of the year. And I'm like, okay, I guess he could read some news on ESPN.
I'm gonna put some money on Joe Gibbs though. He's got a 75% chance to have a championship.
Oh, who does Martin? Who does Martin Truex?
Not is I think Harvick. Harvick. I don't think he's a Gibbs guy.
Okay, so I'm still taking Martin Truex
got the
Jr.
Ford.
Yeah. Martin Truex Jr. is going to put Bush into the wall early, and you know what's funny? Before we close the show, who's not even a contender? Where's Joey? Oh, he's not even a contender, and he's not even oh gosh, you remember we were back in the day when we were at Golden State overnight. And every week we would pick, or we had money, right? Each week we put in some money and pick the NASCAR, whoever would win or whatever it was with was it Brian Cuthill, and those I was a Jeff Gordon fan. He was a Dale Earnhardt Jr. I don't know who your driver was. If you
Mark
had
Martin, old man.
Mark, that's right.
Mark Martin,
that's
baby.
right. Mark Martin.
Old man Mark Martin. I knew he was never going to win. I just liked he was old as shit. That's all I liked. He was the oldest looking dude in the car still.
Oh my goodness. But how times have changed. But I wish I could say I've always been a hardcore NASCAR fan, but I'm going to tell you, this is the first year ever that I've only watched 2 races. I've only watched 2 races this year. And I don't know what they've done to the sport. It just hasn't been as interesting to me as it has been in the past. But thank you for at least doing the research because I'm gonna be honest with you. As much as I've always been a NASCAR fan, I could not have told you if you asked me who was in the Final Four. I was actually hoping Chase Elliott would have been. He had a great year. Took over the 24 car. Actually, he took over the 24 car and then moved on to his dad's, Bill Elliott's number 9 car. Still under within Hendrick Motorsports, but he was right there in the final 8. And but he got wrecked or had engine problems, had a bad finish, and the only way he was going to top 4 was to win, and obviously he didn't. So couldn't get on points, but these are top names. All 4 of these are absolutely top names. You couldn't bet against any one of these, but I'm going to take Martin Truex. I don't think you picked somebody though.
Hey, you know what? It's going to be a good race, and because it's a championship, I'm going to try to tune in and watch it. If I'm going to pick anyone, I'm just going to pick Denny Hamlin because I think he has good momentum at the end of the year going into the final, and that's it.
Yeah,
I root for Joey Logano just because I met the dude.
Yeah,
and he was really nice, and he's a young dude, so that's someone I can follow for quite a long time. So I was sad that he got knocked out because I'm with Issa. I am now a Joey Logano guy if I have a choice, but he's not one of the top four. So I'm going to take Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, it's a good pick. If I was a betting man in Vegas and said somebody said you have to put money down, I'd probably take Kevin Harvick. But the emotional side of me says Martin Truex is going to win another championship. So, alrighty. Well, hey, we 2 weeks in, we are at 1 hour and 50 minutes, fans, and we want to just thank Junior. Thank you. You know, Kim, thank you. Junior was mine, and I miss him. I actually miss him now. I was not a Junior fan. I was a Jeff Gordon fan. Hate me or love me. I've always been a Jeff Gordon fan. But Junior was the last of a dynasty. So he is missed. I'm glad he's still in the broadcast. But so thank you. Also, I just want to scroll up here a little bit because I was given a little bit of feeling a little bit down. So I'm just gonna say, Kim, thank you. We love you, Chuck. You make us all laugh. So okay, now I feel better. So everyone that has watched tonight, thank you. And we'll see you next Wednesday. We'll check back in with you. Thank you, Abel Baker Brewery. We'll give you the shout out. And thank you, Sierra Nevada with the Narwhal Imperial Stout. Great beers. If you haven't tried them, try to look them up in your area and see if you can grab a hold of them. Dave's just out buying all kinds of nice hats and shirts and beer shit, and I'm just wearing the same old shit every week. So I need to step up my game, folks. Anyway, hey, thanks a lot, everyone, for watching. We'll see you all next week, and take care, everyone. Bye now.
Cheers.